First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody for being here tonight, participating in today's workshop. I understand.
And here! Hey, and here!
Okay.
Hold it closer.
Okay. I'm not sure I can get too much louder, but I'll try. Yeah, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight, and I welcome you to the workshop. I want to say right up front that I understand that this is an important project for this community and for all of you. And me and my staff all understand that this may be affecting some of you personally, it may be affecting your lives. And that is not lost on us. So first and foremost, I want you guys all to understand that we do know the way that many of you feel about this project. And part of the way you feel was because we did a simulation of what this recommended alternative could look like. Some areas weren't so impacted, some areas were very much adversely impacted. But the reason we did the simulation was so that you would all be able to see with your own eyes how the river would look when we go to that alternative, if we go to that alternative, okay? That's part of the reason why we're here tonight as well, so that you can make the best informed comments for this comment period for the draft report that is out. And the pool level, we have the responsibility according to the WIN Act 16 to maintain the functions for navigation, for recreation, and for water supply. There's some discussion and there's a notion that because of the language in the WIN Act, it actually says that on the day that the legislation was passed, that was the water level that we are required to keep the river at. Is this out? But it was at flood stage. There's no engineered structure that we could possibly put in place that can keep the river at flood stage. Or let's say, at the passing of that legislation, the river was in a drought stage. Well, of course, nobody would be interested in having the river at a perpetual state of drought. So I'm just putting that out there that there's some problems with that interpretation of the law, and that is not the way we're interpreting it. We are interpreting it for the functions, to maintain the functions that I described earlier, navigation, recreation, and for water supply as well. And then the last point that I'm going to make for you here is that we have to move forward with fish passage. We have a requirement by law to begin construction on this structure no later than January 2021. So we want you guys to be able to have your comments, and I just want you to know that there is a limited amount of time for us to take in your comments and move this process forward, but that is exactly what we're going to do. Okay, we talked about the handouts. I think the last thing that I want to make a point about is that the comments that you make are going to go in an official record, and by the NEPA process, the National Environmental Policy Act, we are required to respond to each and every comment that you have, and we will. We also have the requirement by the NEPA process that we consider every comment that is made for us, and as necessary, make adjustments to the plan. There's also a prevailing perception, in my estimate, that the federal government and the Corps of Engineers has made their decision and we're moving out. That is not the case. There's a reason the NEPA Act is in place. This is a process that we use for every civil works projects that the Corps takes on. And this is part of the process. So I want you to know, don't feel like what you're doing is just going to be for nothing. We will take every comment, we will consider every comment, just as we're required to. I think that's all I have to say. I want to stop the talking and hand it over to April. She's going to walk through a brief on the project itself, but I'll end it by saying, once again, thank you. I'll be around in the room along with all the members of my staff, and we're happy to be available to you to help you with answering questions or help you with your